All right, so you've heard these words thrown around a ton, right? Acquisition, merger. People often use them like they're the same thing. But what if I told you they're not even close? That one's basically a takeover, and the other is more like a marriage. In this explainer, we're going to break down that crucial difference. Let's get right into it.
And this quote just hits the nail on the head. A takeover, it sounds aggressive, a little hostile. But a marriage? That sounds like a partnership, a shared future. And that feeling, that vibe, is exactly what separates these two things. It's not just about companies combining, it's all about how they combine.
And that really brings us to the one word you need to remember through all of this: power. At the end of the day, the real difference between an acquisition and a merger comes down to one simple question: who's calling the shots when it's all said and done?
So let's start with the side of the coin where that power balance is anything but equal. Let's talk about the acquisition, which, let's be honest, is just a nicer way of saying takeover.
The definition itself couldn't be simpler. In an acquisition, one company literally just buys another company. It's a straightforward transaction. You can almost picture one company adding the other to its shopping cart and hitting checkout.
So what does that purchase actually look like in the real world? Well, the power structure is completely one-sided. The bigger company is now pulling all the strings. They make all the decisions. And the company that got bought, it loses its independence. It either gets totally absorbed and just disappears, or it becomes just another brand in the buyer's big portfolio.
And that's really the main thing to get here. In an acquisition, there is zero confusion about who's in charge. The company that wrote the check, yep, they're the new boss. End of story.
Okay, so now let's flip over to the other side. If an acquisition is all about a power play, a merger is supposed to be a partnership, a team of equals.
And notice that key word right there: agree. A merger is a mutual decision. You usually have two companies of similar size and strength deciding to join forces. They aren't buying each other out, they're choosing to build one new company together.
And this idea of teamwork is everything. In a real merger, control is shared, ownership is shared. And to show everyone that this is a truly fresh start, they'll often get rid of their old names and create a totally new brand for this new combined company.
So you see the difference? An acquisition creates a boss, but a merger creates a partnership. It's a big strategic move by two companies that believe they can do way more together than they ever could apart. They're willingly joining forces to create something new.
All right, so we've looked at them one by one, but the best way to really get it is to put them side by side. So let's do a direct head-to-head comparison.
So when you actually put them next to each other, how different do they look? Well, laying it all out like this makes the distinction crystal clear.
This chart just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the acquisition side, it's one theme, one company in control, unequal power, and a takeover vibe. But on the merger side, it's the complete opposite: shared control, equal power, and a feeling of agreement. So yeah, these are not just different words, they are fundamentally different ways of doing business.
But this isn't just an exercise in definitions, right? These are massive strategic decisions that companies make. And believe me, with any big move like this comes a whole lot of risk. So why would a company choose one over the other?
To make this super simple, think about it like this. An acquisition, that's like buying a house. It's yours now. You decide the rules, you pick the paint colors, you're in charge. But a merger, that's like two families deciding to move into one big house together. Suddenly, everything has to be a discussion, a negotiation. It just captures that dynamic perfectly.
So why acquire someone? It really boils down to two things: speed and control. You want to get bigger overnight? Buy a company. You want to take a competitor off the board? Buy them. You need some cool new technology or a really talented team? Just acquire the company that has it. It is, without a doubt, the fastest way to get what you want.
Mergers, though, are often more about strategy and sometimes even survival. You might see two medium-sized companies merge so they can actually compete with the giant in their industry. They combine what they're good at, they share the risks, and they find ways to save money together. Here, the whole idea is finding strength in unity.
But here's the reality check. Neither one of these is easy. Not by long shot. Trying to smash two different company cultures together is a huge challenge. It can lead to layoffs, a ton of uncertainty, and sometimes companies just pay way too much for the deal. And even in a so-called merger of equals, you better believe there's going to be a power struggle.
Okay, so after looking at all of this, the definitions, the strategies, the risks, let's boil it all down to the two absolute simplest things you need to remember.
So just remember this first.
If one company pulls out its checkbook and buys another one, taking total control, that's an acquisition.
And if two companies come to the table, shake hands, and agree to join together as equals to build something new, well, that's a merger. And this, right here, is the biggest takeaway of all. On paper, the end result might look the same. One giant company where there used to be two smaller ones. But the story of how they got there, the power dynamics at play, those are completely different worlds.
And all of this leads to a pretty common saying in the business world. Bigger is not always better. Because whether you get there through a takeover or a partnership, just getting bigger doesn't automatically mean you're going to be successful.
Which leaves us with this final, really important question. If just getting bigger isn't the goal, what actually makes one of these combinations work? Is it the culture? Is it leadership? Or is it just dumb luck? That right there is the billion-dollar question. Thanks for watching.